Here it is here. Kansas Tornado. Pretty cool. It's not just simply new skins and a Razorback instead of a bubble canopy. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that's gone into this. I'm not going to go into it just now, but everything has been tweaked, updated, fixed. The flaps, the lift that the flaps produce has been updated. So many things have been refined. So many things have been refined in the P47, and now there's two P47s. So both of them benefit from the refinements to everything, to the flight model and etc, etc. I don't want to misspeak and say flight model when I mean engine damage model or vice versa, because I haven't gone into it in mega detail, but there's a lot of refinements to this plane. So yeah, one of them that I know for sure is they've updated the heaviness of the controls. The controls have some inertia to them. The plane is apparently a bit more maneuverable at high speed before you hit the effects of like approaching Mark 1. What is that called? Compressibility, and also what else? I don't know. A whole bunch of stuff's been updated. Let's take it for a fly. This is amazing. This is really great. Completely different canopy. It looks earlier, looks much earlier. That kind of angular design. Really is a Razorback as well. I have a FW190A8, and look at that radio loop there as well. FW190A8 in the vicinity somewhere. Let's dogfight.
Roughman, leader, search for enemy aircraft. Free to engage. Out. Roughman, leader, search for enemy aircraft. Free to engage. Out.
Roughman, this is Groundhog. In contact. Proceed with your mission. Winds from the west. Roughman, this is Groundhog. Engage enemy. Fighters to the southeast. Range about 1 mile.
Roughman, leader, fighter, spotted. 12 o'clock. Range about 1 mile. Engage. Out.
Burning's pretty good now. By the way, this is with 150 octane fuel. Whoa, I'm getting shot at. I missed that pass. I should have focused. But yeah, this plane now has 150 octane fuel. That's a big difference as well. Tough old bird, the FW. Takes a lot of punishment. And I'm out of ammo. That's got him. And they head to the nearest airfield that doesn't have enemy flak on it. Floor is different. It seems to have some different look to it. Ribs or something. Exposed ribs. You got a mirror up there. Seems to be an armour plate. Prominent armour plate, as in armoured glass plate for the windscreen. Pretty cool. I'm liking this. This is a really refined P47. And I stress the refinements are not just for the Razorback, they're for the P47D /28, the original, the first P47 that came to the game. Both aircraft get the update, so it's just fantastic. I didn't take extra fuel, I didn't take extra ammo for this flight, so I did run out of ammo halfway through that flight. Amazing little touches to this. I mean, look at the reflections in the cockpit glass. They are perfect. They're perfect. So sophisticated. This is great. This is really refined. All of this, of course, is my opinion, but yeah, the flight model, everything, I don't know, it's just great. It's really great. You can feel the momentum and the inertia of the airframe. This is such a heavy aircraft. Yeah. Yeah, this is very good. This is a different creature than day one, whenever it was released initially, maybe a year ago. The P47, that is. Obviously, this plane here is brand new, but I stress there's two different models of this plane. Obviously, they're the same plane with two different models, so very similar. And it's day one for this one, the Razorback. But compared to the initial release of the first model of this plane, they are now so much more awesome, so refined and everything. This, I think, is going to be everybody's favourite new plane. So I'm going to land, and then I'm going to drive the new tank. Hope you guys can stick around for that. It's called the Ferdinand, and it's amazing. Let's open the canopy. Probably coming in a bit too hot here. Let's commit anyway. Nicely done. Man, I mean, that propeller's spinning a bit longer than it should. That's like a small thing. They'll get that ironed out. But yeah, I mean, look at this damn thing. Look at this. And you can see the battle damage from when I tangoed with that FW190A8. Yeah, this has got to be my new favourite plane. Oh yeah, for sure. The fact that they kept working on it and they kept refining it, and this is what we got now, and it's, yeah, this is really exciting. So the flaps are still pretty good in combat, but they have reduced the lift, the maximum lift that the flaps produce. So yeah. What indicated airspeed does it get up to at 8,000? 8,000? 3,000? At 3,000 feet and 150 octane. It's pretty close to the deck. Don't know. That's a good question. I haven't got an answer. I'm hoping it's somewhere close to 400 miles per hour, but it's not gonna be. Yeah. Subjectively, the main difference that I'm noticing is in the feel, the control feel. You can notice the momentum of the airframe which is really accurate. Something to do with how you move the ailerons like this, and the response is like you got all that momentum to shift, so it's a slower response. You're moving more inertia and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm going to stop rambling about how great this plane is. Let's jump across and have a look at the tank. Alright, so this is the Rhineland map, and so there's no Normandy map just yet, of course. So here's the Rhineland map. Here's a tank duel. They've added this tank duel kind of thing for single player. It's really good. Here's the tank here. I'm going to go against a KV-1S heavy tank. So this is interesting. This is the single remaining Ferdinand in existence, and it's at a tank museum. And so this is the paint scheme of that tank. You basically get a bunch of different shells and stuff. By default, I've got armor piercing high explosive 8.8 and HE. I think there's different types of 8.8 centimeter gun, and this is one that has a bigger cartridge or something like that. Like it's the extra powerful gun. This tank, it is very high tech. They didn't put it into production because of various different reasons. It was too costly on commodities. It used up a lot of, I don't know, copper or something for the electric engines, and it has like a petrol or a diesel engine. It has an engine, and then it has also an electric motor, or at least one electric motor. There it is. What a confronting image. Huge. I really like the tracks and everything. So yeah, it looks very agricultural, but it's really high tech. So you basically have a petrol motor kind of thing. That's probably diesel. That then powers generators that then send electrical current to electric engines, and they turn the drive, and the drive runs the wheels. Yeah, so I think it was such a cutting edge design that it would break down somewhat, but when it worked, it must have been pretty good. You get these things here, periscopes. These two guys, these poor buggers, they're stuck in the front here, and there's no one else with them in this fighting compartment. That's a smooth drive. This is actually a really good periscope system that he's got here.
Zieldeckern, erfasst Ziel, Panzer, Weg, auf 12 Uhr, Entfernung 1400
I don't know what this guy does. I think he's the radio operator. Anyways, these two guys are literally about, I don't know, 5 to 7 inches away from any explosions that are going to happen at the front of the tank. So here's the tank. You can get an idea of the thickness of the front armour that these two guys are protected by in the driver's compartment. That's got to be, I don't know, what, 12 centimetres or something of armour. then you've got the armoured fighting. You've got an engine, a petrol engine in the centre, and then you've got an armoured fighting compartment in the back there. Here's the opponent, the K47 heavy tank. And these guys, I'll just stop the tank. These guys are here. There's 4 of them. There's 4 of them, and they're in this fighting compartment, so cool. And it must be a little bit less claustrophobic for them, I guess. Trying to hit something with this gun takes a bit of practice. The shells are very... I don't think they're that heavy actually, but I think this guy's quite close. Before he destroys me, I better shoot him. Right, that was short. That was short, but it might have impacted. That stopped him. Still firing. Yes, that's good. So there you go, that's the damage model. It's not too bad, I guess. Took a bit of a beating. Yeah, they built quite a few of the chassis. So I mean, it's a small detail, but in this game, this is the first time that I've seen the, what would you call it, contra-rotating caterpillar tracks, which they're not doing now, that I'm trying to demonstrate it. Hang on. Yeah, that. See how they're going in different directions? One's going back, the other one's going forward. That's the first time I've seen that in this game. Tank is really smooth to maneuver. And this is using an aircraft joystick that I'm using to control this. If I'm using my Logitech G25 racing wheel that I use for cars, I think you can get a lot more out of it, but even like this is pretty good. This thing's amazing. Yeah, I don't know about the reliability situation, like as in the game. So this is the last tank in the lineup to be released for Tank Crew. So it's the very last tank to be released, at least that they've said they're going to release at this point in time. And what a whopper it is. It's stupendous. I'm not really a tank guy, but I actually am now. I'm really digging tanks now, like sort of big time. Tanks are amazing. If you're on the ground, and in reality there's not much else that you can do but try and make something like this. If you need to break through strong areas, fortifications, or just strongly held areas that have artillery and machine guns and troops and that sort of thing, what do? You need a vehicle that has a lot of armor on it, hence the tank, or as someone pointed out, the tank destroyer. This one's not actually a tank, it's a tank destroyer. So my understanding is there's different types of kind of tanks. Like there's the concept that's a bit like this of just getting an artillery piece, putting it on a vehicle and transporting the artillery piece around on the vehicle, and then taking it one step further and instead of having it on a bus or something like a truck, have it on a Caterpillar tracks, so it's all terrain. So I think that's mobile artillery, and this is sort of like that. It basically is mobile artillery. Or you could also look at it the other way. You could call it a tank without an articulating turret, a tank with a turret that doesn't move. But in any case, this thing's designed to destroy tanks, but it has the other usage, the other benefit that you could chuck a high explosive in there, and it's a gigantic mobile artillery. So, but yeah, its primary purpose is to destroy tanks. I think it has my track IRs not engaging for some reason. Now it is. So like look at that. There's like a limited traverse. I think traverse is the right word for the turret. See how far I can go. I'm assuming it's about 30 degrees, maybe, in either direction. There you go, that's traverse that way. That's all the way in the other direction. So you don't have a movable turret, but that's what you got there. You can and I didn't check the up and down type thing, the width, the elevation, but you could do something with that. And that's if the tracks are out of action, because you can also just do this. And because it's electric drive, it's so smooth. You'd have even for such a big heavy thing, what does this weigh, 65 tons or something? You'd have a pretty smooth ability to just to try and inch it this way or that. Digging that suspension as well. That's it. Oh ho ho. I don't know how happy I'd be to be sitting in the front crew compartment, which is, believe it or not, it's I don't know, you've got an engine right there, and you've got a crew compartment there. You can see the thickness of the front plate. It's actually a pretty privileged position being in the driver's compartment, because that front plate, I mean, what's going to get through that? It's not just the plate, it's everything behind it as well. But the plate in its own right is, I don't know, I'd say about 12, 15 centimetres. Almost half a foot just the plate itself, and then there's another plate behind it that it's bolted onto. This thing is incredibly strong. Incredibly strong. What a tank. It also has interlocked armour. You can see the interlocking of the armour panels there. So they're welded. You can see they're spot welded and they're interlocked. And I think according to Wikipedia, the metallurgy of the steel that they use to make this is called miraging steel. And apparently it retains its, I don't know, I'm using the wrong terminology, but it retains its flexibility, but it also has tremendous hardness. So there you go, there's a lot of thought put into every single aspect of this tank. Sorry, tank destroyer. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The final thing I'll do is I'll just open up all the hatches and see what that's like. Yeah, apparently no machine gun on this thing, so it's definitely not for being on the front lines, being a little bit back. Here's the driver. Turn the lights on as well. Periscope system seems really effective for the driver. He's got those 3 screens there. It's a bit like your split screen kind of setup for your flight simulators with 3 monitors. But he's got 3 periscopes. So yeah, you have some lights. Awesome. What do you reckon? Would you test drive this? This is pretty cool, eh? Gas mask. That'd come in handy, I'm sure. This roof is considered a thin roof for a tank like this. That's a thin roof. That's a bloody thick roof though in my book. Holy moly. Alright, so we have 2 crew so far. Anyone else? The gunner, by the way, gets a periscope. You can see the periscope there. And apparently that periscope is unarmored and it just pokes through the top there. And if it gets broken, I don't think they have a replacement. So there you go. Who we got here? This is the gunner. Let's see if he can, what he can do. Ah, yes. Did I just open that? So the gunner doesn't leave, but I just opened that hatch up. Yeah, look at that. Quite a bit of ammo in this fighting compartment, so the gunner can't leave. That's probably the commander there. Driver here, and the radio guy there. I think he doesn't seem to leave, and the gunner can't leave. So that's pretty much it. Yeah. So there's a crew of 6 by the looks of it. Yeah, man, the Razorback came out. It's pretty awesome. it's very awesome. It's my new favourite plane for sure. Very refined. The two P47s are now my new favourite plane because they're just great. And it looks like there's is that a, what is that? Is that a door? Is that some kind of a hobbit, the door on a hobbit house? Like a circular door? Probably. So you can get an idea of how long that gun is. It really goes sort of halfway back in the fighting compartment. You can see through there. Pretty huge. I think this is probably the same gun that they had quad examples of. Was it double examples maybe, or quad, I think double examples on top of flak towers. Those huge AAA flak towers with extra big guns on them. I think it was this model of gun. So there you go. So guys, that's pretty much the end of the presentation. What do you think? I think this is an amazing tank. Oh, and one other thing in the update, so they've reduced the tendency of the tanks to conk out when they hit obstacles. That was something I'd noticed before the update. You're driving around in a tank, if you hit a tree or something, the tank engine might stop and then you had to restart it. They've fixed that. So all sorts of things like that, like, I don't know, 20, 30 different things have been addressed. So it's a huge update and it's looking really good. So yeah, handy for ammo loading for sure. Alright guys, that'll do it for now. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that. I think this is really just fantastic. Just amazing. And look forward to having a close look at these in the days and weeks to come. And of course flying the 47s. Alright guys, thanks very much. Like, share, subscribe, support on Patreon, etc, etc. And hopefully see you tomorrow. Bye for now.